Hello, my name is Chris Kuman. I'm a coordinator with Student Services.
Hi, I'm Susan Green, Student Services Coordinator.
My name's Amy Nye, and I'm the Curriculum Coordinator for Languages in Learning Services.
And my name's Gayleen McKay. I'm EAL Lead Teacher in Learning Services.
Today, you will be given 2 hours to scan your class roster in PowerSchool to start getting to know your incoming students. We'll show you how to access all of their digital student records, transition forms, and other important information.
As you scan through your class list, you'll access the virtual backpack for each student looking for the following information: exception codes and ISPs, English as an additional language codes and benchmark levels, transition notes from last year's teacher, medical alerts, FOIP concerns, or any parental alerts.
We have created a template that you can use to create a class profile and gather all the information in one place. So when you open it, you'll be asked to make a copy. So all you can do is paste in your class lists into here, and then move through the list of students and put in the information that is relevant for each of them.
In PowerSchool, all the important student information can be found via the virtual backpack and by looking for the icons on a student's profile. The supporting handout gives step-by-step instructions for accessing the virtual backpack, digital student records, and a legend explaining the most common icons found in PowerSchool. We have also provided a list of common codes and what they mean.
These are the codes that you'll see for students for whom English is an additional language. In addition to the codes, when you look in the digital records, you should find, for students who were here last year that had an EAL code, benchmark summaries and annotated writing samples to go along with those. Looking at these documents will give you an idea of where to start when planning instruction for these students.
As you're looking through PowerSchool, these are the 4 most commonly used icons that relate to students who are learning English as an additional language. These symbols will let you know if a student comes from a refugee background, if they're connected to Care for Newcomers, and will potentially hold other information as well.
During the past school year, Red Deer Public began using Alberta Education's EAL Benchmarks 2.0. These are some supporting pieces to help you understand your EAL learner and ways to support that learner based on their proficiency level. The slideshow briefly describes characteristics of emerging, beginning, intermediate, and advanced English language learners, and what are main areas of focus for students at each of those levels. Within the slideshow, there are links to the EAL benchmarks, strategies for students at each level, and various other resources to support you. The EAL Learner Profile has been created as a document that teachers may choose to use to keep track of levels of their EAL students and what strategies would be beneficial for students at each level. There are different documents for emerging, beginning, intermediate, and advanced levels. And lastly, the student grade level organizers have been created as a different style of a form that teachers may again choose to use to keep track of all of the EAL students on one document. There are different documents based on grade level. Descriptions and strategies are then based on the English language proficiency at each of those grades.
As you are getting to know your students' academic needs, understanding their special education codes is important. Criteria set out from Alberta Education outline specific categories to assist teachers and administrators in schools to identify those ECS children and grades 1 to 12 students who require additional supports in their educational programming. Each category is given a code for the purpose of reporting special education data to Alberta Education. Our district assigns a special education code to a student. Students require documentation to support the assignment of a code, which would include a diagnosis of a disability or a disorder by a qualified professional. Additionally, information that details how the disability or disorder impacts the child's participation and learning is essential would also be included. This legend describes the mild and moderate codes that your students may have. For a severe code to be assigned to a student, the diagnosis must meet a certain threshold, and the impact on the student's functioning in the learning environment must be well documented. When thinking about mild or moderate versus severe codes, consider the example of hearing impairment versus deafness or visual impairment versus blindness. This legend describes the severe codes that your students may have. Here are some detailed links to programming supports for individual profiles. The Inclusive Ed Library is a website that Alberta Education hosts. It has a variety of resources, learning materials, planning documents, and professional development tools for classroom teachers. Teach Spec Ed is a similar website created by the Ontario Teachers Federation. Resources can be found in both French and English, and a multitude of strategies and information is hosted here. The FASD Network's website gives a lot of information about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. The resources, materials, and information can be used as universal strategies that help and support all students in your classroom because of their effectiveness, regardless of any one student's diagnosis. Australia's Inclusion Toolkit for Educators is another helpful resource to welcome and support diverse learners in your classrooms and schools. There are many other resources online that can be helpful. Effective resources help us to welcome all children, regardless of their background, ability, or perceived difference. They help us recognize that all children are capable of learning and creating or adopting structures and systems for education that respond to these diverse needs makes our classroom more inclusive places.
Thank you for watching. Please feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any further questions about coding, supporting diverse learners, or anything else you've watched today.